With that being said, folks, it's been a while since we've had a press briefing with Karine Jean-Pierre here. I mean, when was the last time we saw Peter Doocy in the room shellacking and deucing it out with Karine Jean-Pierre? It's been quite some time. We don't have Peter Doocy today, Jackie Henrik, or Phil Wegman, but we have another reporter here asking her about the relationship between the Saudis and President Joe Biden. Folks, just watch how she spins this one and manipulate it. Oh boy, is it a doozy. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Thanks, Karine. Just to follow up on some questions from my colleagues about this review in Saudi relations. You said the president is taking it very seriously, but you also said there's no person leading it or a timeline for it to be completed. Is this more of a rhetorical strategy, or is there actually a review with some sort of substantive plan and action? Because today there's been no details about that.
Look, he's already directed, the Department of Energy to deliver another 10 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and he will continue to direct additional release as appropriate. So he's taken actions. I get you, but I want you to know that he is taking this seriously by taking action on day one.
What? Time out, pump the brakes. Did we all hear that correctly? That this guy's been taking action since day one? Oh my God. They're just lying out there in the open now. They don't even care anymore. Remember, from day one of him taking his presidency to Putin invading Ukraine, gas prices increased 40%. But he's taking it seriously. He was doing everything he could, folks, to lower those gas prices for you. Not a single thing. If anything, he actually made it worse. And we talked about that at length here on the Bald Brad Show. He actually made it worse through his implementation and removal of certain policies. So I don't know what she's talking about here. They always started at Putin invading Ukraine. It's called the Putin price hike, according to them. It's all his fault. And it's unbelievable. Now we're going to take 10 million barrels out of the petroleum reserve. It's a reserve. It's there for if we go to war, or if we have like a massive hurricane or a natural disaster that we can help the local communities or states out. But no, we're going to pull it out here. And if you recall, Joe Biden gave 1 million barrels to China, of which his son Hunter Biden supposedly had some investment in. Oopsie, but nobody wants to investigate that, nor do they want to talk about it. It's so unbelievable how they spin this thing. But I digress. Let's continue.
And so he will continue to take those types of actions and use the tools that he has to make sure that we're dealing with this incredibly important issue. Look, we have said, the president has said from the beginning of his administration that we need to, redefine this relationship that we have with Saudi Arabia. This is something that he has said for some time. And because of their action, they took this action just last week, the OPEC Plus decision that they've made. And I have said this, I've said this plenty of times at this podium already, is that we see that they're aligning their energy policies with Russia. Look, I'm not.
There you go. Now they're the bad guys, right? Now they're aligning it with the Russians. It's amazing how they're trying to attach everything and anything they possibly can to Putin here. Because if you attach yourself and align yourself with Putin, now you're the bad guy. If you recall, I was just told the other week that nobody messes with the Biden, right? Nobody F's with a Biden. We were told that on a hot mic from the man himself, from the horse's mouth. We were told that. And yet the Saudis going, hey, we're going to just do 1 million barrels. And they're like, you know what? Let's make it 2 million barrels per day that we're going to sit there and remove in a nutshell in terms of our manufacturing production. You got to love this whole thing of her attaching it to Russia. Joe Biden's doing everything he can, which he's not, you guys. Is he increasing domestic oil production? Nah, not a single bit. He's going, rather than drilling here in the United States, which we could be self-sufficient in terms of oil, he's willing to go to a dictatorship in Venezuela and get oil from them. Let that sink in for a moment. Rather than doing it here, he would rather go to Venezuela. He would rather go somewhere else. And I would also like to point out, if you recall his trip with the Saudis, when he went there and fist bumped the guy, he never talked to them about oil. The most oil-rich country in the world. He didn't talk about oil. But remember, he cares about this. He's losing sleep over it. He's been doing everything since day one, folks. Do everything he possibly can to make sure you're paying less at the pump. You can't make this up. And by the way, that's not my words. She told us. She literally said the other week, and we commented here on the Bald Brad channel about her saying, yeah, he never talked about oil with them. But we're going to follow up with this. And you got to love, too, to add into the mix here, the whole topic of redefining everything. Well, we're going to redefine a relationship with the Saudis. Why? It seemed pretty good at the beginning. When Trump was with them, everything was going fine. Peace in the Middle East. We're getting production done. Gas prices were low. Everything was fine. You get Joe Biden in office, all of a sudden we got to redefine it. We got to redefine what a recession was. We got to redefine what inflation was. We got to redefine what immigration is. There's no longer illegal immigration. There's no longer illegal immigration. It's just a challenge. It's not a crisis. Now we got to redefine what a relationship with the Saudis. Just redefining everything and anything, folks.
Going to get ahead of this. You will hear from us when we lay out what actions we are going to take. We're going to review them. But again, I'm not going to get ahead. And this is something that we take very seriously.
Does the president have any regrets about his trip to Saudi Arabia and his meeting with MBS and other Saudi leaders?
No, I just laid out an agreement, a historic agreement that was made by Israel and Lebanon. And no, he does not. He does not regret
Saudi
it.
Arabia, that agreement. Israel and Lebanon. I'm just talking about the Saudi portion of that trip.
What I'm saying is that trip was so important for our national interest and also for the American people. There are a couple of things that came out of that trip. That was one of them. But also the focus abroad, as you know, was for the Middle East region. The president was able to engage, as we all know, with 13 leaders to discuss a range of issues from Iran to Yemen to the 5G. And if you think about Yemen, that is very much a part of Saudi Arabia, is very much a part of that Yemen truce that we have seen. The president set forth an affirmative agenda for more integrated and stable region, including Israel's integration over time into the Arab world. And on the trip, we concluded a historic agreement opening Saudi's airspace to Israeli flights. That is really important. That happened right there when the president was in the region. So the president was the first to visit the region without Americans in combat operations, and it's his aim to keep it that way as well. So there were many deliverables that came out of that meeting with Saudi Arabia, but also being in the Middle East region, how critical and important it is as the president is moving forward with his foreign policy agenda. So.
Sorry, I can't continue. I'm trying so hard not to laugh in the mic for you guys, but it's so unbelievable. Him just being there was great. That's basically what she was saying. Just his presence alone. That's what it was all about. We signed some things. We did some things. And by the way, it was the first time we ever showed up where nobody had guns. Just like, didn't do a damn thing, basically. Literally went there. Taxpayer dollars. Didn't solve a damn thing. Signed a bunch of paperwork, of which, again, I like to point out, pretty much there was already peace in the Middle East under Trump. And she's going to throw this whole thing out there. None of which she's talking about the Saudis, of which the question was asked to her about the relationship with the Saudis in terms of what's going on. Can you actually name a thing that happened with the Saudis that it's actually a good thing? She couldn't. She's talking about Israel, Yemen, and all this other stuff because he didn't do anything with the Saudis. But remember, nobody F's with the Biden folks. Nobody F's with them. Although it seems like anybody and everybody's effing with them. The illegal immigrants, the southern countries, the border states, Russia. I mean, name it. Everybody's screwing with the Bidens. He ain't getting anything right, folks. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.